welcome to another episode of
Nerd Out!
I am Randy, this is Brian, and let's take us back in time to a more simple time like 1984.
There's nothing simple about it.
When it was cocaine and Reagan. And
mustaches.
And mustaches.
Yep.
If only I could get away with just a mustache. I have no chin, so I can't do a mustache. Every generation of kids had their childhood, and every child's generation is the best. I mean, I can't, kids from the 60s say they have the best toys. Kids from the 70s had the best toys. Kids from the 90s say they have the best toys. But the fact of the matter is kids of the 80s had the best toys. Here's the thing. 1984 was crazy. Everywhere you went, transforming robots were there. Everywhere. Knockoffs, real things. I remember picking up my grandmother from the airport when you could actually go into the airport, and in the gift shop there was a wall of chronoform transforming watches by Takara. I remember going to my Purim carnival. If you're not a Jew, a Purim is a holiday, and the prizes were knockoff dives in gray. The GoBot dive.
I had that. That was one of my first GoBots. Tally Hall, baby.
Yeah, Tally Hall. There's a place called Tally Hall, and you could just get knockoffs of everything.
In little kiosks. It was just everywhere.
Everywhere. I went
Trapper's Alley.
Trapper's Alley. I went
to hardware stores, select converters.
Totally.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. You couldn't go in. I went to the Kentucky State Fair when I was visiting my relatives, and I got a Voltron knockoff. Just at a gift store. Everywhere.
The 80s were the age of robots.
It was awesome.
Combiner, transforming.
Didn't matter. Robots. And if you're watching this, you might like transforming robots and you might not. But the fact that there was so much, variety. Everyone knows Transformers. Most people know GoBots. Do you remember Converters? Do you remember Converters?
Everybody remembers select converters.
You think so?
I think anybody you saw, maybe that you didn't. I mean, yeah. How could you not? They were everywhere.
They were everywhere.
I mean, they weren't
they were aisle,
everywhere.
What was the third aisle at Toys R Us? The clearance aisle, was it aisle 8? The Toys R Us had 3 aisles of action figures.
Honestly, I never saw them at Toys R Us.
Oh yeah, they were in the clearance aisle, clearance / not quite G.I. Joe or Transformers aisle.
Oh,
I love that.
Not the graveyard, but it was
yeah.
It was like that, the same aisle, but not at the same time where they'd have the knockoff Voltron.
Yeah,
the Dyrugan rainbow color.
It was definitely I don't know, but it was definitely where you'd find the Crystar figures, and it was definitely the third tier. Action figures were like today. Action figures are pretty much like a collector hobby. Kids, they're not really.
It's an aisle.
Yeah,
at Toys R Us.
Yeah,
where it was a
they
section
break it up right
at Toys R Us.
Toys R Us 3 full long hallway aisles.
Yeah, we used to have at least 3 to 4 aisles of shit to check out. Now it's not
only that, but I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we didn't just have Toys R Us. We had Children's Palace,
Circus World,
KB, Circus World, Kittyland was a local. I mean, action figure collecting was great, but I'm going crazy.
Kittyland was
Kitty
capital
yes,
of the world, man. It was so expensive.
It was so expensive.
They had this shit piled up to here.
I remember it was the only place I could find a Rick Hunter action figure from Matchbox for a long time, and so but the thing is instead of paying $269, I had to pay $399. But you do what you got to do to get a Rick Hunter, right? Yep. I mean, you need your Rick Hunter.
They had the Rick Hunter Corona forms behind glass.
Yes.
They had a counter. Man. Corona forms under them, it was like a jewelry.
Yeah.
It was weird, and they were right next to the dolls.
Oh yeah, the dolls. Yeah, there's the dolls.
Hudson's.
You remember Hudson's?
Yep.
Had the basement. Yep. Actually, I think Hudson's was where I got my first GoBot, which was Psykill. No, that was KB. I already said it was KB. But Converters. Okay, Converters. What they did was they licensed. I don't know if it was licensed, but they made mostly Takatoku, smaller figures of Takatoku characters. And when I was a kid, my favorite one, and still is one of my favorite one, is a version of Sasu Rager Bat Train. He was called First Track, and I loved it. They were awesome. Now, they made Orcus.
Did these pop up early in your career of collecting?
Yes.
See, not for me. It was later.
Oh, really?
I know. I didn't see him till way. I was into it. I was still into toys.
Yeah.
But probably like 2 years after my first GoBot.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
Yeah, no, I think mine went GoBots converters. Like, also,
Okay.
if you're familiar with Roadbuster from Transformers, he's originally from a line called Mugen Caliber,
Yep.
and he's called Dorvac. And like the first time I ever saw him was converters.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I love the converters. They were, the plastic was a little sketchy,
but it was such a good line because it was knockoffs of everything else, so it was diverse.
It was great.
You got a lot
yeah,
of,
you got Robotech stuff.
Yeah,
you had Orgus, you had
Orgus.
Dorvac, you had Sasu Rager.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, like
Yeah,
even model kits. Model kits.
Those were fun.
They were
Those
fun.
were fun.
Actually, I'm thinking about opening it up and building it. Do I?
Do it for the competition.
Would it be considered a starship though? I don't know.
No, but
I think I'd lose.
sweet.
I'm thinking about building
awesome.
it though.
Those
These
were
were great.
hits. I almost like those more than the real thing because they were almost as durable. And
Yeah.
You got like a good 20 minutes or whatever to snap
Definitely.
it together, and it's like, as a kid, I didn't know what it meant or how to process it as a kid.
Oh,
I
the
couldn't
engineering?
I couldn't articulate it, but I knew that more thought went into this.
Right.
Because it felt more detailed and stuff, and it's like...
Yeah, you could get a sense of how they built these things, how they did it.
Do you want to see my first transforming toy?
Yeah. That's your first.
How sad is that?
Wow, that is sad.
Like, they were on the market
Uh-huh.
for... I don't know how long exactly. As a kid, it feels like years, but probably a couple months.
Yeah.
And we were... Like, GoBots, I don't know if you guys remember. You couldn't find them.
No, they were awesome.
They were gone. Like,
everywhere.
Like, I had aunts looking for them. And we were on vacation. And this is all they had. And I got him and a G.I. Joe guy to put in there.
Oh,
and that was my first...
That's your first transforming robot,
Yeah.
theoretically. Anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's a power suit, GoBot's power suit, and you built them and you could make a big robot.
Which is
and
sweet.
It's sweet, but like
Not for your first one.
GoBot's like I mean, the first time transforming toys, like finding them at the store was like, it was exciting, and this was your first one.
Yep. Now, what's your first experience?
My first one.
Like
okay.
seeing, like,
Totally.
when did you retire out of Star Wars
Dude,
and
it
move into transforming robots? Because that's how it worked for me.
It was a moment that I'll never forget. I was at my friend Jimmy's. It's not an exciting story,
Before you tell it,
yeah.
one question:
Mhm.
What was your main line before, and then, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
what
yeah.
did you transition out of?
I think
think
consistently I've always been a G.I. Joe guy.
Okay.
Star Wars, then G.I. Joe, and I stopped and started through G.I. Joe, but I always went back to G.I. Joe. Like, I just took breaks from G.I. Joe.
Okay.
So I went Star Wars, G.I. Joe, and then I would like collect like GoBots, Transformers, Robotech, Starcom, and then G.I. Joe in between, and then back. So I went to my friend Jimmy's house. He's in this kid. I'll tell you the story. It's part of the story. Is he was an only child. He was his mother. I didn't know where his dad was. He was the first friend I had that I knew that didn't have a dad. You know, it was like sort of new to me, and it was just him and his mom. And so I think to compensate for that, his mom bought him any toy he wanted. He was an only child. It was just him and his mom. So he always had all the new toys. And he goes, come check this out. I go to his room. He pulls out literally a shoebox and pulls out Rescue, Dumper, Leader 1, and Psykill were the ones that I remember. They're
So you saw him at somebody's house.
Dude.
You had access.
Mine was
touch
blown.
it right away.
Totally. He goes,
Okay,
check this
see, I
out.
didn't.
This car turns into a robot. Mind, like, I'm getting chills because my mind was blown. I was like, what the fuck? Like, my mind was blown.
That's
like,
all. Yeah,
and that's it. And
mine was
forever.
at school.
Okay.
It was like my first. Like I remember, grew up in Traverse City. Moved here in first grade, and Traverse City was fine. It was a great place, but they didn't get shit right away.
Right.
You know, because it was at the time it was secluded.
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
It's a vacation. It was a vacation spot.
Especially 35 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's shit. I'm old. So anyway, we moved down here, and it's definitely, you know, closer to Detroit. There's Toys R Us here, and so it's like I'm probably my first day of school. It feels like it wasn't
early, right?
It was first grade.
Fall.
First grade. Fall. Didn't know any of the kids. I was shy. I didn't really. And I remember who it was. It was Ryan Jonah. He whipped out. He whipped out. Either it was Jeepers Creepers or Turbo.
Turbo.
One of them. But
those.
I saw him showing these other kids this car that turned to a robot and had a shit attack and could do nothing. Because I was too embarrassed to say anything. I was shy.
Right.
I was just, it's all I could think about for months. Like it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And from that point on, I retired out of He-Man.
That was it, He-Man.
Done.
It was a game changer.
It was.
It was a game changer. I mean, we'd never seen anything like it before. I mean,
that gimmick is huge. I mean, yeah. And it's like, that's why I think we're still into toys now. At least for me,
those moments.
Yeah, because you talk about how you think we had the best generation. Of toys.
I do think so.
I think the best generation of toys is now
because of video games.
No, just because like
yes, but those are not like a kid is not getting their hands on the good stuff.
So okay, then I'll give you ours was the best.
And can I also also add this? What they were doing in our generation, and again, I'm sounding like an old man, but they were creating new concepts and characters and new designs. Now you're seeing Star Wars. Yeah, I mean it was like new ideas. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like we're not really getting a whole lot of new ideas these days. Like you're getting like 20 years later, you're still getting Pokemon, Power Rangers, Transformers, Star Wars, G.I. Joe's dead, but you know what I mean? Like no real new ideas. They're just continuing
unless
these
it's
ideas.
Video games, but I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, like, maybe that's where you're getting it as video games. But when we were growing up in the 80s, like Visionaries, I mean Centurions, I mean Thundercats, these were all humanoids. These were all small ideas that companies were taking a risk on.
Yep.
And you just don't see that today. Like
it was an age of physicality.
Yes.
It was, things were very physical, they were very tactile. Like the way something felt was important.
It was.
Which is sad today. Now it's
quality was important too. Like I mean it's very competitive.
Yeah.
Like the action figure market is still competitive, but I think in a different way. I think in the 80s, the competitive nature of it was to find the next big thing. So they were constantly taking risks on new ideas. And that's a concept.
Completely over the top.
Yeah.
Completely over the top.
Absolutely.
Like, look at Godaken.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Godaken. Yeah, I mean, that was
like... They're like, build the best toy you can make.
Yeah.
In every way.
Well,
money's no option.
That was a different situation too, because what was happening is with the robot boom of the 80s, every American company or whatever was trying to get a hold of what already existed in Japan and import it.
Yep.
And the importing laws, I don't know them, but they were very different back then. It was really easy.
More liberal.
It was
definitely more liberal.
Like you could see many different GoBots packaged in many different ways, and some of them were legit, some of them were knockoff, but it didn't matter because they just kept coming in.
Yep.
Like you'd get like those Motobots, like with the motor engines, and you pull back action, like Mysterions. They were what the fuck are these? Like I don't even know, but they turned into
I can't remember which one I had.
I don't even know what it transforms into, but it doesn't matter because it transforms.
Yeah, and I mean that's what your parents gave you after a good day at the dentist.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like, oh, doctor, get a shot. You got a Mysterion.
You went to the drugstore and you got Mysterion.
Exactly.
And you know what? You were happy. You have memories of Mysterion.
Yeah, I mean, toys. Now to get old.
I know. We're sounding
toys
old
were
now.
fun. Then I mean, it's sort of like, and the proof is we're buying rehashes of the old ones now.
Absolutely.
And paying a shit ton of money.
For a new Lion-O.
Yeah, I mean, my toy collection is probably worth more than my car.
Your car's pretty expensive car though.
Dude, I'll bet not anymore.
Sweet car.
Dude, I'll bet my
I
think most people's
I know what you're
toy
saying.
collection.
Yeah.
Yours is worth more than
definitely
like up there with your home.
It's definitely my asset other than my home.
Yeah, and I mean that's like so. This shit was good in the 80s. I mean, it has grown men hunting the original stuff down and buying rehashes of it to relive our youth and
that's what it is.
And so, I'm glad.
I'm glad too. I really am. Again, like the quality variances that we got from transforming robots in the 80s was all over the map. Like you had Takatoku imports, which were just made of the highest quality. Actually, they break pretty easily, but they were just super.
Look at the detail.
The packaging is more high quality than the toys that Hasbro's made today.
And I mean, did you as a kid what Takatoku stuff or Japanese lines were available?
Robotech.
There was Robotech. What else? There was
Godaken, Robotech. Robotech was interesting because you had the American stuff which was produced for the market like Matchbox, and then you had like this Gaken high quality stuff.
Yeah.
And then you could find these only at I only saw them Children's Palace was the only place I saw them. And then do you remember the super deformed Robotech Valkyries?
Yes, it was wonderful with the heat shield that flipped. Why did they not do that on average? It was incredible. That was the highest quality Valkyrie toy of the 80s.
I agree.
It kills the Takatoku, the original one. The 150.
I gotta go with
it. Does.
I think
it's
so.
smaller. It's not as cool, but it's better.
I had it. It was the best.
I did
Valkyrie
the
I had
one too.
I can't get a hold of one now. They're expensive. I would love to get one. I don't know what you'd have to pay for one. I'd have to look it up on eBay. But I'll be honest with you.
I want the ring.
The ring?
It came with a ring.
Yes.
Ring, and I want
wow. Oh shit!
Yeah.
You just blew my mind.
yeah.
Holy
Those were
shit.
sweet.
That's
that was
a memory
Florida
I forgot.
Toy. That was a complete vacation.
Toy. Well, that's the thing is, you went on vacation. And I remember getting a little mini Voltron from, again, I said this again, from like the Kentucky State Fair. And I was so happy to have this.
Yeah.
Here's what I think I'm trying to get to, and maybe you can add some dialogue to this. So here's the question. Transforming robots today, never be as popular as they were then, but they're still popular, right?
Yeah.
So here's a question. Why is it that Hasbro is the only one in the American game? Like, why aren't Mattel or Playmates coming up with their own transforming robot line and creating a backstory? Like, it's proven that the concept of a transforming robot is successful. Does it have to be a Transformer branded thing to be successful? Like, why can't Mattel come up with like Change-O-Bots and come up with a storyline and come up with like really cool designs?
Do you want?
Yes.
Do you want an expensive toy line, or do you just want?
What about middle of the road? What about as good as?
How much?
Just like Transformers, Hasbro's, like a little slightly better quality.
Better than Titans Returns.
Yes, but I think you could produce a Titans Return figure, a better quality for the same price.
I think engineering must cost a lot of money.
It does.
Like, I don't know, because it's like if for me to swap brands, it would have to be better.
Really?
It would have to be better, and I mean.
So it's not about the fact that you like to fiddle with the transforming robot. It's that you want to have a side swipe to transform. It's the character.
I guess the whole thing is, it would have to be better. Like, it would have to be good,
right.
you know? And it's like,
right, I'm not saying knock off. I'm just saying, like,
I'm
trying to say, like, as good as what Hasbro's producing, maybe a little bit better, because they would have to be competitive. So they'd have to, like...
Yeah, I mean, I think I would do it. I just don't know if they could do it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, I don't know if they could make it affordable. And the whole thing is, it's sort of like, I don't know if it would be profitable to them. Because they make a lot of Transformers. And I mean...
what about this?
Of course, I'd probably get it. I mean, if they made a cool transforming robot, I'll pretty much buy it.
Well, the thing is okay, and I'm just throwing things out there. You can call me an idiot, but like these third-party companies are making beautifully engineered stuff, I guess, and they're pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
Like if they had the backing, if these sculptors and the engineers had the backing of a major manufacturer like Mattel or Playmates, could they put together a storyline, their own characters, and make a quality product that would interest toy collectors? Like, or do they have to be Transformer brand? Like, could they come up with...
It's a good question, because the whole thing is third party. I mean, they could easily just make their own thing if they wanted.
Right.
I mean, they're already stepping on a intellectual property now, and I don't care about the morality of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like. Yeah, I guess it's just sort of maybe...
But with the backing of, like, Mattel, couldn't they do it, like, cheap?
I guess, but maybe they don't feel a need for it.
They don't feel a need.
Or maybe they're like, okay, Transformers...
You think that they got the market cornered, we don't need to do anymore?
I don't know. Because the only thing that they're tied into really is names. They made, like, the line is so diverse.
Right.
They just, I mean, I think they just come up with stuff and pick which Transformer it's going to be.
Right, pretty much.
They're not like, oh, we're going to make a new Sideswipe. They're just like, we're going to make a robot.
And then we're going to call them Sideswipe.
Anyway, I would love to see another company make transforming robots, or M.A.S.K or something like that.
Like M.A.S.K. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Acid Rain. Now, obviously, those are really high quality, but, like,
you wimped out on those.
I did wimp out on those because I knew it would be. I knew if I bought into the Acid Rain, I would never be able to stop.
New shelf, new case.
I know, because I mean, you're combining G.I. Joe and Transformers. If you haven't seen Acid Rain, look them up. But they're combining G.I. Joe and Transformers into one, and they're beautifully done, and they're interesting, and they're new, and they've created their own storyline. I like new stories. I want new stories. I like my old stories, but I want new ones too. Like I would
love a new basic toy. Not basic.
I know
like
what you're
a
saying.
New, affordable,
kid friendly,
but adult friendly too.
Right.
Like Acid Rain would have been perfect.
Yeah,
isn't it general release if all those toys are like $50-$60?
Absolutely. If they could have brought it down to earth, and maybe you could have found those in a toy aisle, that would be great. I think, unfortunately, to wrap it up is it's just a different age, and I guess there's not enough money in it. It's a lot easier.
It's not new anymore.
No, but
like when you saw that shit as a kid and you weren't expecting.
Yes, that's
the
true.
The simple fact that you had 2 toys and you thought you had one, like you saw your buddy play with the cart, and all of a sudden it was like a little.
Yeah.
Shat myself.
Yeah.
Shat
totally.
myself, and sometimes I think back about
shat
how I
myself
really
today.
felt at that time, and you sort of get the goosebumps.
You do get the goosebumps.
I can put myself back to being a kid.
If I pick up Rescue, the GoBot, I'll get goosebumps.
Can you feel the chills?
Like just immediately, just touching it, I'll get goosebumps. I wish there was a competitor to Transformers. I like Transformers
too,
but I like the concept more than I like the brand.
I agree.
And I'm alone.
I agree.
I know I'm
alone. I would totally buy a new
Robotech
thing. If it I like Robotech more than Transformers.
Right.
I'd die for a new line.
Like I would too. But Harmony Gold is God shit.
But I would take it. Yeah, you're kidding me? I'd take a new transforming or converting line in a second.
Right.
I mean, bring M.A.S.K back and do it right.
Yeah, they're gonna bring M.A.S.K back, but it's gonna be bad. That's my prediction.
Why do you say?
Why? I'll tell you why. I know we're gonna divert, but this is my opinion, and I could be right and I'm wrong. Because M.A.S.K toys, which also another transforming line, M.A.S.K toys were originally designed on realistic vehicles with like plastic windows.
You don't think they're gonna do that?
No, they're not gonna. They're gonna be. They're gonna be like, okay, when Transformers make cars now, they look like sort of real world cars.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna see a Camaro. You're not going to see a like branded Mack truck.
Why?
You're not going to see a Corvette. It's too expensive.
You know this for a fact?
No.
Okay,
no,
so you're just.
I'm
I mean, you're probably right. I'm saying you're probably right.
I'm speculating. You're going to see a car.
That is a big deal. Like, it has to look like a real vehicle.
Like, you know the Transformer Generations line?
Yes.
Where they would make up cars that sort of look like real cars?
Yes.
Like Bumblebee sort of looked like a Mini Cooper, but it wasn't. It was just enough where you could be fooled. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make cars and vehicles that sort of look like the real thing, but they're not. And I don't know if the windows are going to be separate pieces. I don't know that they're going to have all the painted details. I think they're gonna skimp out.
That is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Too, like turning into real world vehicles.
I
didn't think about that.
That is a big deal.
Because it's like it's a robot in disguise.
Yeah,
absolutely. When it turns into some futuristic,
right?
Although cool,
yeah,
it's not the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be
the same thing.
But again, this is just me speculating. I'm also going to speculate with M.A.S.K that that just the quality is good. Like Hasbro, I want to love Hasbro, but they do everything they can to cut corners instead of making instead of like saying I want to make a product that we're proud of. And I'm not saying that they're all like that, but I mean the thing is the corporate top. I'm gonna say that that's a pretty fair estimate.
They want to cut. Yeah, they want to save money.
And if you look at old M.A.S.K toys, they could physically do it with the technology today to make better. But if you look at like old M.A.S.K toys, like
the
bumpers were set. Yeah, they were
tanks.
But like they had a lot of paint detail. Like a headlight was made out of a different plastic. Like they were constructed. They're not just bricks.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too.
I really hope you're wrong.
I do too.
If they just did that line,
yeah,
like just make like
what a good concept. Yeah,
like how much do you think the vehicles in general would be about $35, something like that, more or less?
I think $35, and then what they'll do is they'll do like $15 scale, and they'll be like you remember the green helicopter with Brad Turner?
Yes.
Like that will be the basic scale.
Okay,
and then that would be about
vehicles.
that'll be deluxe. And then they'll have like the next step, which will be $30, and then like Rhino scale, they'll make like one or two of them to start. But you know, I'm hoping I'm wrong.
I hope you are too, because that could be
such a disappointment.
And it could be such a fun line.
Yeah,
just make them sort of real world vehicles.
Yeah,
like even like.
I want to see real world vehicles.
Me too.
I want to see Matt Tracker's car turn into a Camaro. I want to see the Raven turn into a Corvette.
That's right. To me, the Raven was always a flying vehicle, not a boat.
I want to see the Rhino or whatever look like a real Mack truck. I mean, I want to see that.
I would prefer all these things too, but I would even settle if they made them into generic-looking sports cars or something. But
that's what they're gonna do. But yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with that too. But are the windshields?
I don't want them to look space age.
I don't want them to be one piece where the windshields are just painted black.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I can't tolerate that.
Yeah, but they can't. No, if you gotta put the figure in it, they can't do that. I'm sure they could find it, but like
that
dude,
seems
that
to be a
would be
trend.
terrible.
That would be terrible. Yeah,
like you can't have a cockpit that doesn't have a canopy.
I agree, but man,
Especially
look at those
if the
old
scale's
toys.
correct.
Look at those old toys and look what they're putting out now. And I'm not trying to say like,
no,
oh,
you're right.
I'm just
you're
saying
right.
they just ignore those details. And back in the day, they didn't ignore those details. And oil prices are down, so they should be able to step up. Look, I'd love to see new M.A.S.K toys, but my thought is if you're not going to do it right, just skip it. I'll just buy the old ones, which I have pretty much already. But yeah, good talk. I mean, I think that's good talk. Yeah, I'd love to see, to sum it up, I'd love to see new robot toys. I love Transformers, but I'd love to see some other new creations. I don't need the name. I'd love to see new M.A.S.K toys.
I think we're in a golden age of robot toys, though. In some ways,
as far as quality, yeah, I mean,
with
from
third
imports,
party and
yeah, it's
stuff like
unbelievable.
that. I mean,
I agree.
I'm glad to be
Me too.
at the spot where I am
Me too.
because I can get whatever I mean,
Yeah.
they make whatever you want pretty much.
Yeah.
And if you think it up, they'll make it
Yeah.
in a year, pretty much.
I
mean,
agree.
You know,
I agree. Yeah, like you said, like we're gonna have 3 beautiful Megatrons in a couple months. So it is that in that aspect. But unfortunately, those don't ever see the hands of kids. Where in our when in our day, Godakin would have been considered the high level.
Yeah.
You could find a Godakin. Now they
Toys
weren't
R
cheap,
Us.
but you could find them at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
You won't see like I guess we get some masterpiece at Toys R Us. That are like, but I mean, they're
so old by the time they get there, they're irrelevant.
Right, they're relevant.
It's like
Plus,
2 years old.
They're not majestic as a Godakin was or anything, but and I don't know if they're getting in kids' hands at all. Like I think that like
a $60 Bumblebee.
I don't think that's going in kids' hand. Which back in the day, I knew kids who had Godakins, and they were expensive. Yep. They weren't cheap.
But it was different.
It was different.
You know what? They packaged them nicely.
Yeah.
When you got one, you knew.
Man.
It's like you knew take care of them.
They had a handle on the boxes.
Yeah.
They had handles to carry. It was awesome.
And I mean, I knew one kid.
Yeah.
He had like 12.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Them. I had 2.
I never had one.
Like, and it was like the whole reason I had one is because my mom couldn't find Transformers.
That's why I think a lot of kids
a lot of kids got it like that because it's like
they're like, well, I don't want
parents didn't go out, so now they got to.
That's right. They got to pony up for the Godakin.
Yep.
You're right.
The kid's gonna cry. Let's see. This is close enough.
I mean, I think that's why a lot of these robots were made was because the parents couldn't get a hold of the real deal.
Yep.
But I'm. You know what? I'm thankful for it. I love transforming robots. I love toys, and I feel good about the future. But I'd love to see a company step up and try something new. So I hope you enjoyed our discussion. If you did, feel free to share some thoughts. Let us know.
Yeah, let it out,
guys.
guys,
We'd like to hear it too, man. I love reading the comments. Let us know. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And until next time,
nerd out.
Oh, baby, Softy Cat just got her hair washed. She looks so pretty. So pretty.